Blake can join us if he is so moved. We have the minutes from the June 16th meeting. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to peruse those.
Can we do roll call
Yes.
first?
Do roll call, Billy.
Pardon? Oh, yeah, let's have a roll call for the board here.
Kate Vargo,
Here.
Dan Delahunt,
Here.
John Fike, Blake Harris, Greg Peugeot,
Here.
William Siemens.
Here. Okay, now we're officially begun. Motion is
I'd like to make a
appropriate.
motion to accept the minutes.
I would second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. This is an adjudication hearing, so any members of the audience who will offer testimony on any agenda items, I want you to raise your hand, and I don't have the verbiage memorized as John did. Does anybody have a copy of that?
Mr. Hastings, maybe?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, thank you,
I'll have to
Mr.
take
Hastings.
Raise your right hands. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings. We have two items on the agenda this afternoon. The first one is 5306 McCartney Road, and an application was submitted, Burkholder's Custom Construction on behalf of John Seehey. Is that proper?
Seehey.
Seehey, okay. For property owned at 5306 McCartney Road for variance for zoning code to allow the construction of an accessory building in the side yard, whereas such structures are only permitted in the rear yard. Staff comments?
Yes, thank you. On the left-hand side of this slide, you'll see 5306 McCartney Road is zoned R175 single-family residential district. And on the right-hand side, you'll get a good picture of why we're here today. This house layout kind of sprawls throughout from the north to the south of the property. And if you look on the right-hand or east side of the house, that area functions as the applicant's backyard. For all intents and purposes, it is, except for our code. On the left-hand side of the front of the house here, you can see that grassy area, same area in question, again, why we're here. Here's a proposed site plan showing a proposed cold storage building in red, setback from the house and property lines appropriately. Again, if there were space on the same property to just do it behind the southernmost building wall, there would not be before this board, but since it is where it is, it technically does fall within the side yard. So staff analysis is that the proposed accessory structure would be aligned with the existing character of the neighborhood. It appears to be justified given the abnormal configuration of the owner's house on the lot, and that all other zoning code requirements would be met by the proposed accessory building. Therefore, staff recommends approval with the following conditions. 1, all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, and any other applicable agency prior to construction. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience who wishes to speak for this variance? If so, please come to the microphone and state your name and address. If anybody is here to speak against this variance, please come forward. Does the board have any questions for staff?
Is there anyone here that's interested in this variance at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You just state your name and address for us.
Yes, this is Dave Burkholder from Burkholder's Custom Construction, 746 US Highway 250 North, Ashland, Ohio, 44805. I'm representing Mr. Seehey tonight, and from our professional opinion, building pole barns, this is a good fit for the neighborhood and a good fit for Mr. Seehey, from our opinion.
I've got a question either for you or for staff. I read that there was consideration of combining lots, but this will be a hardship. What lots are we talking about combining? Is he own the property behind,
Yes, he does.
south of his property?
Right. Believe it is fenced off in between, assuming with some access there. But yeah, on the southern portion of there, I did approach that topic, and the applicant did not show any interest in wanting to combine paying that money and then moving it further back from the space they functionally only use.
One concern that Mr. Sehi presented to me was due to his age, walking all the way to that back lot, it almost defeats the purpose of having a storage building if it's not close to the house.
And what does he propose to store in said building?
My understanding was this is like his push lawnmower, yard items that he uses to maintain the yard.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for him?
Could you go back to the other, this one right here? So what's the light blue there? Is that a porch or something right now?
Yes, that's a unenclosed porch.
And so this building we're talking about is right there, right off to the side of that?
Right off to the side of there.
Okay.
About 10 feet.
I'm good.
And the side setbacks are okay? I saw something referenced to 3 feet.
Yep.
That's appropriate.
That is appropriate. And I'll remind the board too, that this is the Erie County Auditor website, which is a wonderful estimation tool, but it's certainly not a survey, and it's not going on the property with pins marked and lines between them marked as well. While these lines can be off by around 5 feet on average, and so it's probably shifted in all likelihood to the west. And so it looks like there might not be space, whereas an actual, visit of the property you would see the opposite is true. Which is why on the underlying aerial image, and this is in general too, you can see fence lines, which are not property lines, but usually are pretty darn close, so. Yeah, it's kind of like a mismatch overlay. You kind of just have to take with a grain of salt, or moreover as a guide.
So I assume staff is taking into consideration that a lot combination and not needing a variance, the hardship is his age?
That would be, yes. That's what was presented in the application. So now that would be for you all to determine if that's
Right.
appropriate.
A variance that
valid.
goes with the property forever. What's your pleasure?
I'd make a motion to approve the variance with the staff conditions mentioned.
I'll second that.
Please call the roll.
William Siemens,
Yes.
Dan Delahunt.
Yep.
Greg Pujol.
Yes.
That passed. Thank you. Our second item on the agenda is for the property at 2216 Mylan Road. An application was submitted by Pete Schweigert on behalf of Neil Troutman for property he owns at 2216 Mylan Road for variance to construct an apartment building with a minimum lot size of 1,707 square feet per unit, whereas Section 1129.14 requires a lot size of 2,000 square feet per unit. Staff report?
Yes, thank you. On the left-hand side of this slide, we see 2216 Mylan Road outlined in red. We see that it is zoned RRB, or residential/business district. Surrounding properties are zoned residential multifamily, R160 single family, that's the light green, and the maroon is CS Commercial Services District. So we have a mix and match. On the right-hand side, we see an aerial view of this image taken this past spring by the auditor's website. And most of it is a green area with a lot of trees. There's an existing driveway. as well as a residential structure. Some street view photos from recently this year on Frontage Road F, which is the road taken to this property. It spurs right off of Mylan Road right before the Butler Bridge going southbound. So we can see, and I've marked it there on the map, where I was when I took those from the right-of-way. We can see the driveway in one, a lot of the front yard in two, and then front yard, and then if you, it's a vast property, almost 4 acres, so if you kind of squint in three, you might be able to see the existing house. All right, so proposed site plan, for board members, I'd recommend looking in your packets for legibility. Basically, this structure is a proposed up to 100 units, 4-story structure for senior apartment complexes. Included on the site plan are parking and a detention pond. I will mention, though, that that's outside of the scope of this specific request. It's just what we received in the application. Specifically, we're talking about minimum lot area per apartment unit, which is, in other words, a density variance request. So I did some math here. The proposed variance, this is staff analysis, proposed variance would now allow up to 100 apartments on the site with 2,000 square feet of lot area required per apartment. The code already allows for 85 units by right. 2, the proposed complex is slightly denser than the immediately adjacent apartment complex to the east, Chelsea Court, but it provides much-needed housing options for seniors, which is, we've all been very aware of that discourse. Under that, we can see the calculations. The adjacent complex in Chelsea Court has a 3,253 square foot per apartment, or about 61.5% of that requirement per apartment, has less apartments than what is proposed here. And this proposed development has 1,707 square foot apartment per apartment, or approximately 117% of the requirement, slightly over, whereas 100% equals 2,000 exactly per unit. So, moving on, the multifamily residential nature of the proposed use conforms with the existing character of the neighborhood. 4, very important, if the project did move forward, it would still require a planning commission review and approval of their site plan. And 5, all other zoning code requirements would be met, including setbacks in building height. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions. 1, all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, and any other applicable agency prior to construction. Thank you.
I'd also mention, if I may, through the chair, do you mind going back to the site plan draft? This is it's a rough draft of what that would look like, but they're proposing a single structure. So it's a much more efficient site layout than what the Chelsea apartments are. As you see, the Chelsea apartments just there to the south have a lot more traffic and parking circulation because it's lower buildings spread across a larger land area. What they're proposing is a single building, and the zoning would allow them to build an 85-unit apartment building. They are applying for low-income housing tax credits for this project, which would enable the project, and it would be an affordable project for senior living. And it's a very competitive process. It's a statewide competitive process. There's a couple things, and you can ask the applicant as well, a couple things that make it competitive. Erie County has not won one of these projects for several years, so that helps it score highly. And the number of units that they are able to build also will help the score greatly, which I'm sure they'll emphasize. And that's why they came to us and asked for support for the 100 units. I think it's a very minimal change from 85 to 100 when you're looking at a single 4-story building with elevators, so the neighbors really wouldn't notice much of a difference. They also contacted us and said this building, the size of that building actually would fit about 118 units, so it's even a little larger than the request you're reviewing today.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this variance? And if so, please come forward and state your name.
Good afternoon, thank you. I'm going to just drop off. These are some of the same exhibits, but also some
additional graphics that might help you get a look and feel for what this building could look like.
Thank you, sir.
This is for your records.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for your time. My name is Pete Schwigerot. I'm with Pivotal. We're at 9100 Centerpoint Drive in Westchester, Ohio. Just a real quick background on our company. Pivotal has been doing housing now for 30 years, 30 plus years. We are a developer, a long-term owner, and a property manager. We've developed, own, and manage around 10,000 units in 10 to 11 states. And the very first development we built over 30 years ago, we still own it, we still manage it. In fact, just 8 years ago, completed an $11 million renovation of that property so that it has a new life as it ages and becomes modernized. And we take care of all of our properties in that same fashion. Nearest to you, we have a very similar senior housing development in Huron, and similarly over in Oregon. We have them throughout the state, but those are the two nearest and are very similar in nature to the rendering that I've shown you, which is also very similar in nature to what we would build. Yes, thank you. We are looking for a variance only on density. We're meeting every other one of the requirements of the code, the setbacks, the height, in green space, so forth. We are allowed to build 85. We're trying to request 100 units. These units would be a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Anything and everything you would expect in your own home, you'll find in these units. Walk-in closet, in-unit laundry, open modern floor plan. What's great about these units, though, for seniors, they're also 100% accessible every unit, 100% visitable. We're building double the ADA required units, and all units are adaptable, meaning we're going to be building double the ADA, but any other unit in the development, if we need to adapt it, can be adapted for that person who needs those additional needs. It's a elevated building, so every unit has 0-step entry. In addition to that, down on the first floor, we're going to have a full-time on-site manager. They're there 40 hours a week. Full-time on-site service tech there to care for residents and the units as they might need assistance. They're full-time, 40 hours a week. We stagger them a little bit so that actually we're getting more like 80 hours of coverage on-site per week. We will be partnering with one of your local service providers who will be a service coordinator for the development. They will be on-site part-time providing services. The services we provide to our residents are transportation, in-home meals, light housekeeping, and they also set up activities and programs. Down on the first floor of the building, we also have a community room, a fitness center, a business center, a theater area, all accessible to residents 24/7. The building is fobbed electronically, so it's a secure building. You can't get in without that electronic fob or being buzzed in by a resident, so it keeps the building very safe. In addition to that, all entrances have cameras. The entire parking lot and site will have cameras. We want to care for our residents and keep them safe. Our audience is age 55 plus. This will be a development that's age restricted to people 55 and older. And there's many of us, I'm getting pretty close at this point myself, that don't necessarily like to call that senior at that point. But it is great that we can offer a bandwidth, someone who's transitioning at a younger age or someone who really is selling out of their home because they can't keep up with it anymore. And this is a simplified lifestyle that we can provide a single rent payment, and they pay their own electric. Beyond that, water, sewer, trash, the maintenance of the parking lot, all those services and programs are paid for by the development. So with that, as mentioned, we've done the market study. There's upwards of 200 to 300 units of senior housing need in the community that's not being served. And so what happens to your seniors as they age and might have to move out of a home, or they're having to go to somewhere like Huron or Oregon or outside the community. And the great benefit of a development like this is it will allow your seniors to age in place. They can stay in the community they want to stay in. We will be using funding through the state. It's super competitive. I can't stress that enough, and that is one of the reasons we're here. We'd be happy to just build 84 units, but we also have to win by showing them we can build more as much as we can. If you look at the site plan, we're over 50% green space still. And it is a nice lot. We're going to be preserving a lot of trees and a lot of green space. We're going to be having a outdoor picnic area and shelter we'll have tables and grills. We'll have an outdoor hardscape sun area as well. We'll have community gardens, possibly a dog park. All amenities, again, that are there for the residents to benefit and make their lives easy. We are pet friendly, as you can imagine, if we're going to have a dog park. We do have some limitations on size and breeds, just again to keep safety and noise limited with this type of building. I will say this is also a green building. We're going to be building to the National Green Building Standard. Super high quality, energy efficient, keeps utility bills down for residents. Seniors live on fixed incomes, and making sure they have a rent that's affordable is a really big challenge in today's market. You probably know as well as I do how much rents have increased. And the great thing about this program, as we utilize the tax credits from the state, we're committing to them that we're going to make these rents affordable, below market, discount to market. So we don't have a voucher to provide to anyone. We don't have a Section 8. This isn't Section 8, no HUD involvement. Your housing authority is not involved in this. The goal is to hit that missing middle, that bandwidth where, seniors, they retire or they have pensions and, rents increase and utilities increase, and what might be in market a $900 or $1,100 unit, well, we're going to be able to provide it to them for $800 or $900. And so as you can imagine, senior living on a fixed income, that can be a great benefit. Where do our residents come from? 3 places. Normally, substandard apartments that are not accessible, do not provide senior amenities or universal design. That's about a third. A third come out of ownership. And because this is an asset, that's an asset if they sell their home. It's not part of the income test. They only have to meet an income criteria to make within a certain bandwidth. But a senior, they're retired, they meet that definition really easily. They can sell that house. Maybe they're going to sell a $200,000 house, and now that's, again, now a nest egg that they can plan and use as they retire and make sure they have income to make ends meet. We think there is a kind of secondary effect to that as they sell those homes. We now have new opportunities for young families to come and buy those homes and reinvest in those homes as well, as they transition into a unit that hopefully helps keep them independent. And we're independent living. We're that first step in the continuum of care. We're not doing assisted living. We're not doing memory care or skilled nursing. Our goal is to keep seniors independent and on their own as long as possible by providing a high-quality unit that meets their needs, with programs and services that allow them to stay independent absolutely as long as possible. So with that, if we can build this 100-unit development, we're talking around a $32 million investment in Sandusky. And that kind of speaks to the quality of these units, I hope. That's $320,000 a unit for 1 and 2 bedroom units. That goes a long way and speaks to the quality of what we can build. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, if that means now or as they come. We are really excited about bringing this to Sandusky. We hope you'll understand why we're asking for this variance, so that we can bring this investment and, more importantly, bring these units to market so that seniors in your community can age in place. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for?
No, I had one, but he answered it.
How many parking places are designed in this?
We'll probably, right now, whatever the code requires, we will do. For our senior housing, typically we're providing a 1-to-1. That's normally enough. We've done some calculations throughout our portfolio. Of our 10,000 units, about 2,200 of our units are senior. We average 1.1 residents per unit. So 1 in every 10 units will have a second person. So it's pretty low intensity unit. Additionally, we're finding about 70% of our renters actually own vehicles. So that would be, one-to-one's plenty, because that still would leave us 30 spaces for visitors and guests, and every once in a while, we do have activities and parties. So we feel really comfortable at one-to-one, but for now, I'm just gonna say we're gonna meet code, and if we desire to come talk to you further about reducing parking, because I do like open space more than parking if I can. And we do want to be sensitive to what is a really nice green space. So, but for now, we'll meet code.
Thank you.
Sounds like a pretty nice project. Where's the project in here? Is that the one on the east side of here?
Yeah, Lakeside
Right up
Landing.
Cleveland
It's called
Road?
Reserves at Lakeside Landing. It's on the east side of town. And
Is
I would
it off Cleveland Road or is it on Berlin Road there? Do you know?
think it's that corner.
Okay.
You'll see a 3-story building and then
Right.
some senior cottages, ranch cottages, kind of around the back of it.
So that's how many years old?
That one is probably 10 plus
Yeah,
years old.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's been 100% leased since being opened, and it's got like a 50 to 80 person wait list on it right now.
Yeah, it sounds very nice. Adam, when a developer comes in like this that really is from out of town, we really don't know much about them. What kind of investigations does the staff do?
I'll defer to Ms. Blair. She was the initial point of contact with the developer.
We've had conversations with Colleen Gilson, our director, brought this conversation to my attention, so she's spoken with them. I know she referred them to Sue Doherty to discuss potential partnership for services. We haven't done any investigation. They appear to be who they say they
Sure.
are.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak for this project? Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak against this project? Please come forward, state your name and address, and come to the podium.
My name is Brenda Luther. We live at 2204 Milan Road. We've lived there for 57 years. We are senior citizens, and we live on that one-way street. Traffic, we could not handle what he proposes. Oh yeah, he gives a good talk. But the traffic, it already comes off of 250 down that side street and flows into 42nd Street. You got a school down there that has pre-K and kindergarten. And those parents pick up those kids right there on the corner of 42nd Street. That traffic flowing through there, he says 70% of those people in the apartment buildings are going to have cars. Can you imagine the traffic on that little one-way street? And there's only one way coming out of that street. There will be one driveway, and it'll come right by our house. And that little one-way street cannot handle that traffic. And I would personally like to stay there till I die, and I don't need all of that commotion. I'd like to stay there in peace till I die. And what he proposes will not be peace for me. And I don't think the traffic I don't think that street can handle that traffic.
So where is your house on the picture there? Can you see it?
Well, I can't point it out,
Uh,
but it's 2 doors from what he's talking about.
2 doors, okay, thank you.
I've got it right here.
Yeah,
So it's 2204.
got it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to, thank you very much, who would like to speak against this variance? planning department done any studies on traffic on that perimeter road, that single lane that accesses along the bridge?
Couple things I'll mention. Our site planning process does not require a traffic study, but we do review our site plans really carefully with the engineering department when we get those. So when this, if this was moving forward, we would bring it to the engineering department and they would study how the access would best be utilized on the site. Senior housing is the lowest trip generator of any type of housing, or really, I think, any other land use besides like agricultural. So any residential land use, because seniors drive fewer trips, they're not going to and from work every day. They don't tend to be driving kids to and from practices, things like that. So it would be a low parking or a low traffic demand from a land use perspective. And we are talking about just the 15, right? So they could build 85 by right on this site. So we're talking about just those 15. So 70% of 15 is, less than 15. I'm not an engineer, so I can't do math in my head that fast. So that would be, certainly we would be looking at that. If there's any considerations that engineering would require of the development for frontage road, if it needed improvements or curbing or anything along the front of the property, they would address at the site plan review. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
10 and a half.
I'm concerned with traffic, big increase in traffic. It is in my backyard. I'm on 44th Street. All the traffic coming down 42nd Street. It's got to be, I think it's a concern that needs to be addressed. I don't think we can just say we're going to add 100 cars and think it's going to be nothing. That's just my 2 bits, not as chair, just my 2 bits. Welcome, Blake. Anything further from staff?
Just one last reminder that this is the purview of this application. I mean, while site plan concerns are perfectly normal to talk about, I mean, we are looking at a preliminary site plan after all. The purview is simply the number of units based on the code requirements.
Right.
Thank you.
And this still has to go through the planning commission.
Absolutely, yes. This does not, and a potential approval of this variance would not give license to proceed any farther than now they have to apply for planning commission. Still steps ahead of them in this government process. Certainly doesn't mean that they can break ground yet from a procedural standpoint.
Mr. Chairman, I feel pretty comfortable with the developer and understand and appreciate your traffic concern with the fact that they can already put 85 units on there, and it seems to be such a very nice project with low impact on the number of drivers that will be coming in and out of the property. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the variance of 2216 Milan Road with the anything by the staff that has been added.
I would second that.
Can we call the roll?
Greg Peugeot,
Yes.
William Siemens,
Yes.
Dan Delahunt,
Yes.
Blake Harris.
Yes.
So that variance has been passed and needs to be addressed by the planning commission.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything further to bring?
Nope, that was the last agenda item.
From the last meeting, I believe the address of that Columbus Avenue property was 1528. I was wondering if anything had been discovered about the primary building having been demolished and the secondary, what had been the secondary auxiliary building, is it allowed to remain as a primary residence?
If all other codes are met, then theoretically, yes. But it depends what you're doing in there. For example, if you have a gas station and a tool shed, you can't operate you tear down the gas station, you cannot operate that same gas station out of the tool shed
Right.
because of insert whatever number of laws. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Do we have anything on the agenda for next month's meeting?
I have received a few applications that I've notified applicants that would need a variance in their current state, but I haven't received anything back officially. So it's up in the air.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Appreciate your time and consideration. Nice to meet everyone.